The evil, dark dragon blade. A legendary sword, said to have been carved out of the bones of a black dragon. It brought plague and death to the world during the age of ancient myth. It has been sealed by those of the dragon lineage since the dawn of history because of its incredible capacity for evil, made possible by the souls of the vanquished black dragons that dwell within it. It is said that if the blade's seal were to be broken, it would gather the hatred and evil of mankind and confer it upon the one who wields it, transforming him into the devil incarnate. However, not even those of the dragon lineage who protect it know the true extent of its power. The dragon sword, another weapon protected by the dragon lineage since ancient times. This sword, which is said to have been used by ancient warriors to slay the black dragons, is now handed down from generation to generation in the Hayabusa ninja clan, the modern descendants of the dragon lineage. And now, the dragon sword is gripped firmly in the hands of young ninja Ryu Hayabusa.
Hello there again, and today I will be reviewing Ninja Gaiden Sigma on the Master Collection. Now, off the bat, I want to say that this is one of the best remasters or ports of a game I've played, at least for the PC and PlayStation versions. And speaking of ports, I'll just mention right away that the Sigma versions was original, a PS3 game, but now the game has a consistent 60 FPS and 4K support. But besides visual enhancements, let's actually speak about what Ninja Gaiden is. And first off, I want to say that this game is super hard, if not impossible sometimes, and it's not because of my trash skills. It's because of how annoying Ryu and the camera are to control. And I can personally say, especially after beating the game in hard mode, that 90% of the deaths I had was because of the camera or Ryu not going where I wanted him to go. And the camera alone is super crazy to control because it just loves going through walls or going to the floor. And no offense to the devs, but the small cramp environments you will be moving through or fighting in are not suited to the crazy jumps and flips you have to do to avoid attacks or hits from enemies. And I just want to mention I love this game, but my God, does it frustrate me when it doesn't read my inputs. Right? And I know some people say it's an old game remastered or ported to newer hardware, but they could have at least fixed the camera and annoying movements Ryu does when you slightly tilt the analog stick up. Right? But besides annoying controls, let's speak about why you're even using these controls by mentioning the story. And yes, Ninja Gaiden has a story which is split into chapters, and now I just want to say, if love ninjas or action games like DMC, just get the game after finishing this video. First, and spoiler warning ahead. Now, first off, I want to say that the opening to this game is awesome and really does sell you the fact you're playing a badass ninja game. And we are first introduced to our main protagonist, Ryu Hayabusa, which is not the same Ryu from Capcom's Street Fighter series, but is the same Ryu from the Dead or Alive franchise. But let's get back to it. Starting off with Chapter 1, which starts with Ryu invading a beautiful ninja fortress hidden in the leaves, but is full of enemies which Ryu makes quick work of. But once you reach the end of the chapter, you fight this huge roided-out man, which is actually Ryu's uncle. And after they speak, they are visited by Ayane, which tells Ryu that his village is being invaded and destroyed. And by the time Ryu reaches the village, it's already too late, because Ninja Gaiden 2 or Dragon Sword mentions that half of the village was slaughtered, but let's get back to story because Ryu actually dies within the second chapter of the game. But you'll find out that Ryu is from the Dragon Clan, which is also from Nioh. 2, which means Ryu may be human, but his blood isn't. And after Ryu gets resurrected, begins his journey for revenge by making his way to the Vigor Empire, which I forgot to mention that his village was destroyed and ransacked because his family held the forbidden Dark Dragon Sword, which has mysterious powers and can cause unfathomable destruction to the world, and it's up to Ryu to track down the Dark Dragon Blade and find the man that killed him in his village, which leads us to one of my favorite side characters, Rachel the Fiend Huntress. And my god, her story is pretty tragic like Ryu, and most reviewers won't even mention her sad story because of her honestly beautiful gothic design. But who is Rachel exactly? Well, Rachel is a fiend huntress because her sister was manipulated into becoming a fiend, which is basically a demon or monster to us, and it's up to Rachel to find her sister and stop her, and also kill a man called Doku, which is the same guy who killed Ryu and his village. But Rachel, for who knows how long, has been hunting down Doku, just like Ryu, and slaying fiends, just like Ryu, while picking up pieces on her sister whereabouts. And, yeah, that may summarize Rachel's character, but I feel like she has much potential to be an awesome character. But Ryu is the main protagonist, so she is relegated to a side character. And I also want to mention that Rachel actually has her own chapters, and she is a pretty overpowered character, except if you're playing on Master Ninja difficulty. But yeah, this game is rated M, and if her design annoys you or makes you genuinely angry, just tighten up and get through it. Her chapters are pretty short anyways, and she controls like Tank, which is pretty fun, since Ryu feels like the Flash, which makes the camera move too much. But I love Rachel. She's actually so cool. She even made it to the Dead or Alive games, which makes her feel right at home with all the other crazy, cool, sexy characters in it. But yeah, she is a pretty tragic character, but some reviewers only see Big Booba in a leather suit, but that's just a plus to her. Honestly, and she has more to her than Tina from Dead or Alive. But besides that, let's mention the fact that Ryu fights Rachel's sister Alma, and Alma is no longer human and has been almost fully consumed into becoming a fiend. But after Ryu wears her down, Rachel swoops in to kill her sister, but can't go through with it, which leads to Doku capturing Rachel. But before Doku can kill Rachel, Ryu and Alma fight again. But both go to save Rachel before Doku kills her, which leads to Alma sacrificing her life to save Rachel, and which turns her back into human. And Alma's last moments are spent with her sister, which is pretty heartbreaking when you think about it. But Ryu's mission isn't done yet, and Ryu makes his way to the Vigor Palace and fights his way through probably hundreds of enemies. And somewhere in the story, Ryu is taken to pretty much hell to fight the devil, which is pretty cool, except if you're playing on the hardest difficulty, and Ryu pretty much slays every fiend that tries to fight him. And after going to hell and running through hell and the Vigor Empire, Ryu learns about the Vigor Emperor, which may have information about the Dark Dragon Blade and Doku. But if you have been collecting the secret books or picking up random items in the game, you will find out the Vigor Empire is corrupt, and the Emperor is actually a fiend that lies dormant in the bottom of the Vigor Palace. And before Ryu can go through, he meets Doku for like the 5th time. And did I mention that Ryu fights Doku not twice? Not 3 times, but like 5 times throughout this game, and he just keeps coming back until Ryu makes him pretty much vanish into thin air. But Doku could probably just be in hell somewhere waiting to duel with Ryu again one day. But let's get back to it. Because Ryu finds the Vigor Emperor and defeats him, but Ryu has to rush to retrieve the Dark Dragon Blade since the Vigor Emperor laid dormant in pretty much a volcano, and Rachel actually swoops down to help Ryu. But first off, you guys need to find yourself a Rachel. She didn't have to come back to save Ryu, but she did. So you guys need to step your game up and be on Ryu's level, because fictional characters are pulling more baddies than you. And yes, I'm talking to you, the viewer. But besides that, Rachel and Ryu pretty much get blasted out the volcano. And it turns out Ryu's uncle is actually the bad guy. He's the mastermind, which makes him the op. But Ryu's uncle is consumed by the Dark Dragon Blade and is turned into a fiend. But Ryu makes quick work of his uncle since Doku is the easiest boss in the entire game. Honestly, if you have talisman rebirths, but after that, defeating his uncle Ryu throws up the Dark Dragon Blade and slices it, or breaks it, which leads to the biggest fumble in history of fumbles. Because after that, Rachel, who has been kidnapped and almost killed and lost her sister earlier that night, is rejected by Ryu since Ryu turns his back on her and teleports or vanishes away to his village, which makes me mad since bro could have given her a hug or something and then dipped after. but no hug or goodbyes from him. Just a silent stare and then gone. The next second. So yeah, Ryu is really a cold-hearted ninja at least in this game. But yeah, that's pretty much the story of Ninja Gaiden, and it's probably one of my favorite games of all time, especially when compared to Ninja Gaiden 3, but that's a story for another time. And I just wanted to say, if you made it this far into the video, thank you for watching, and please smash that like button and hit that subscribe button. Me and the homies trying to make it out? The trenches also. I may have glazed through some of the story, but that's because I don't want this video to be like more than 20 minutes since the AI voice be acting up if you add too much text. Anyways, thank you for watching, and hopefully the AI didn't tweak out through the video, and see you later, Master Ninjas.